Hello, everybody. Welcome to Jepes Pod, powered by Perfit. We are elated today and so excited to have Ian as one of our guests. He is a fashion designer and business mogul. He has loved fashion from high school and loved brands that inspired him were Echo, Fat Farm, RP55, Bell Bell, and Willie Esco, and so on and so forth. He loves street style, and that is where he really shines in his own brand. He started his brand with a couple of friends 12 years ago, but the vision and work ethic didn't quite align. So instead of letting everything go, he started to take ownership of his business and bought everybody out, made sure that they were happy and that ties didn't hurt, and was able to move forward from there. A couple of the biggest challenges that he had to face was finding his own voice and managing money. And we're going to definitely touch base on that because that's such an important part of business, and most of us overlook it. And one of the big lessons that he learned was learning how to adapt to technology, trends, and consumers, and being able to comfortably bring his own light into the creative world. Ian, thank you so much for popping by and connecting with us today. And I am so excited to learn from your experiences for the last 12 years. You've been absolutely killing it. You've been doing some really big things. And every time that we connect, your excitement, your enthusiasm for what you're doing is extremely evident. So welcome.
Thank you for having me here, G. Thank you. It's a pleasure to talk to you, and yeah, let everybody know what's going on.
Yeah, into it. Let's do this. So then let me dive in. What was the driving force that inspired you to risk it all and start your fashion brand?
As you said in the intro earlier, I've always been into like fashion, streetwear, and stuff like that. I mean, my earliest memory was in elementary school when I had a Nautica sweater and it was embroidered in gray, black, and like blue. And yeah, I've always cherished that thing. And each year that's gone by, I always have like one piece that I always go to. So I'll wear it like Monday to Friday, you know what I mean? And I told myself, why not me? Why can't I start my own thing? You know what I mean? So, you know, it's one of those things that I'm just like, I don't want to end up one day and regret looking back and saying what would have happened. Right. So I'm just like, let me get started on this. Let me try this. And if it fails, it fails. If it doesn't, then so be it. You know what I mean? So
how do you go from having an idea, understanding the trends, and making it your own?
I'll put a twist on it, or I'll try to re-engineer it in a way. So let's say I have this one sample that I got. Actually, it was one of my customers that sent me a TikTok where it was a woman that is into like R&B and 90s rap, 2000s and 90s rap and all that stuff. And then shirt said introvert, but willing to discuss 90s and 2000s R&B. Right. So I was like, oh, that's kind of cool. And that's funny, and she has like X amount of followers. I'm like, maybe I could just sell this on my own. Then I'm like, no, don't do that. You're established. So in a way, it's kind of going back and like, okay, maybe I can re-engineer this, maybe a different kind of quote, or maybe just something that people are relatable, can relate to. So in this case, what's been going on the last couple of years with COVID and stuff, maybe something had to do with like mental health, self-care, all that kind of stuff. So I came up with another one that said, it was a shirt that said "Be You," but it was kind of like a double entendre, kind of like a double message. It is called, yeah. So I came up with that. It's actually on my online shop right now. But yeah, essentially, like it's all about re-engineering or repurposing certain designs and making it enough, differentiating it enough that I can call it on my own and be like, oh, it's not a bootleg. That idea was from somewhere, but it's his own. It's my own thing. You know what I mean? So.
Yeah, because that's really what art is, right? It always ends up becoming a reinvention of what has already been, especially nowadays when everything has been done, right? You can't come up with anything new that already hasn't been done before. But what you can do is you can put a recreation of that thing and put it into your own style, your own design, your own abilities, your own twist. One of the things that Andy Warhol was famous for was taking other people's art and repositioning it as his own, and with his
Yeah.
own abilities, his own sign, right? And
Yeah.
that's, it's like the Campbell's,
Yeah.
the
Campbell
Campbell
soup
soup,
can.
right?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's been there forever, but seeing it in a different light and being able to
Yeah.
actually create a true feeling from from something very simple, right?
Hmm.
And from what I'm hearing is that you're doing the same thing. You've become inspired by not only the society, but as well as what other people are doing, and then repositioning it, seeing it differently, and then putting it out to the world. So with that being said, how do you know whether something's actually going to hit even after it's a trend, even after it's been repositioned, even after all of the nuances have been done? How do you know that this is actually going to hit, and that and people are going to buy?
That's always a question I always ask myself after finishing the initial design and coming up with like a sample product and everything. I actually don't. Like I know internally, I believe in my designs and stuff. Um, Sales and numbers is another thing. To me, honestly, as long as I love it to my core, and it's not just I'll slap something on and sell it. I know it can sell, but I know it'll hit me in an emotional spot, and that's what I want my designs and product to do. I want people to connect to my um, apparel emotionally. I want them to get down to that core of like having that feeling of like, whoa, this hits. You know what I
Mhm,
mean? So coming back to what we were talking about just before about like, trends and bootlegs. And you just reminded me about this too. My very first design that it really sold out was MTL State of Mind, right? It used the Run DMC red bars, the white font. And
mhm,
I remember it was someone that I knew had a New York Yankees hat that, and they said New York State of Mind. And then I'm
mhm,
like, no, but you're from Montreal. And I woke up in the middle of the night and I'm like, yo, let me just flip this real quick. Run DMC's from New York. It's hip hop, New York,
uh-huh,
until Set of Mind, why not? So I made the font fit. But again, coming back to that was the time where it really hit me. I was like, ooh, that's hot. You know what I mean? But I've seen other people do it. You know who hasn't flipped the Run DMC logo, right? Um, with that being said, when it came down to sales, it wasn't hitting at first. And then I remember a Down with the 90s party years ago, right? And a few DJs can attest to this. I think DJ Quest, Star Q from Montreal can say that when I had given out some shirts for that party, a lot of people wore it. A lot of people were asking about it. And weeks later, even days later, I saw some sales roll through and everything. But coming back to that, it's one of those things where it's like sales numbers is one thing, but if it connects me emotionally, it gets me down to that core of feeling, be like, no, that is hitting me. That's something I know it's going to be a hit. So it has to really like have an effect on me emotionally. You know what I mean? So
mhm. One of the things that Rick Rubin tries to do when he's producing an album and they're trying to figure out the the final cut, like what are the
yeah.
10 songs that are actually going to work, he always reduces it to the top 5 or 6 songs that they can't live without. And
Hmm.
then from there, he's like, okay, what other songs are not going to make this worse? How
Sure.
do you do that with your designs?
I always have different mock-ups and different versions. Like artists and designers always have that final version, but also they have that final version of
Mhm,
it. I always go through, and what's good about now about my business model that I've implemented about a year and a half ago, print on demand. Right. What's good about this? I can order one sample. If I don't like it, I'll get rid of it. I'll order 3 or 4 of the same thing, but different colors, different fonts, or different printing techniques, different labels, different placements of certain
mhm,
details. It's one thing looking at through a computer and seeing a sample, getting it in person is another. I'll narrow it down to, again, what hits me more emotionally, what is something that I know a customer will buy in store, or when I walk in store, I'd be like, oh, fuck, I want that one.
mhm,
Get the plain shit. Oh, that one has something written on it, cool. But I'm like, whoa, 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 I want this one, So again, I'll come up with different versions of it, order a bunch of samples, and if something, again, it's so weird that you see something on a computer, be like, that's hot, but then the other one that you really didn't like, and and it comes in person, it's actually better than you thought it was.
Yeah.
It's the weirdest thing. It's the weirdest thing. But yeah, no, I have several versions of said mockups, and if I were in the customer's shoes or even in my shoes, I'll be like, if I see this store and I want it, that's the one. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
That's the one I want to get. That I know that one hits, and that a lot of times I'll just scrap my whole thing, my whole collection, or whatever idea I have, and just go with that one, or base it off of that one. So
Yeah. So then let's go back to the business model with print on demand. How
yeah,
does that work? And how has that changed the direction that your business was going in?
when print on demand, I was very very hesitant on it, only because with the old school way of doing it, I would get in touch with screen printers, raw suppliers, embroiderers. I would actually go to them in person and build these relationships and see how they're doing, see how the shop's doing, and maintain that partnership. But with print on demand, to me, what I always got stuck with, going back to the old business model, was that I would get stuck with inventory sometimes. So let's say stuff would sell, I would still end up with some inventory laying around like my basement,
Hmm.
boxes and boxes of like clothing. So I was like, you know what, I need to minimize this. But not only that, but I was getting more knowledgeable and more aware of the environmental impact,
Hmm.
right? So I was like, this needs to change. And I remember this is when COVID had started. I was like, let me just pause for a minute. I need to take a break mentally, physically. I'm just like kind of done with this. And then I had a friend that had told me about this new business model on this website. I was like, okay, let me take a look real quick. I remember implementing one design, and literally, to summarize everything, it's like 95% automated in my business. So with that, I don't need to travel. Some of these relationships I couldn't maintain anymore, right? Everything's through chat, computer, cell phone,
Hmm.
all that kind of stuff. But what I like about this, I get to focus more on the back end of the business. So Google SEO, analytics, marketing, all that kind of stuff, which I didn't really have time for before. And not only that, trends, man. When it comes to algorithms and some of these apps, they change like crazy. So it's important for me to stay on top of these trends, keep learning.
Hmm.
I just finished UX design last year through Coursera, Google, and yeah, now my website and everything is user friendly. It could be even better, but I'm more aware of these type of things that's going on. So it's allowed me to again automate 99%,
Hmm.
and I don't have any inventory physically here. It's going to be in my warehouse in Toronto, or that one in the US and stuff when it comes to certain apparel. So I was able to
Hmm.
do that, and essentially.
So how does the print on demand um, business model actually play out? Like, is there
Oh,
is there a quantity? Is there a quantity
yeah. Well,
order? Like,
see,
how
that's the
does that
thing.
work for you?
What's cool about print on demand? There's no minimum quantity required at all. Whereas when it comes to raw suppliers, some of these print shops, they're like, you need to order a dozen. No, it needs to be 2, 3, 4 dozen. Okay,
Hmm.
cool. Or you need a minimum order of X amount of hoodies, shirts, sweaters.
Hmm.
A lot of times I'm going deep in my pocket, and again, I would sell, but some of it would be stuck in a box or laying around. Whereas print on demand, I'll get a design, let's say whatever design I have, customer sees them online shop, add to cart, buy, warehouse gets notified, they make it, they ship it out, that's it.
Hmm.
Simple as that. Simple as that. Yeah.
So then, with that being the essence or the core of the business, how
Mhm.
do you can how do you remain relevant in the fashion industry? Because that's
You know,
hard.
it's the most difficult thing ever. I've seen my followers, my sales, my visits go into a decline. Not gonna
Mhm.
lie. I think it's a matter of again being adding value to the brand, right? People want to see behind the scenes. People want to see how it's made. People want to know what's going on. Are you having good days? Are you having bad days?
Mhm.
I think that's the most important thing. A lot of people like to start fashion brands and they just have a simple box logo, whatever brand, boom,
Yeah.
and they'll get X amount of followers. But then I'm there, I'm like, either it's bought, it's not authentic, or it's just a fad right now, right?
Mhm.
What I offer is what I've been offering actually in the last couple of like months, I should say, is value. So again, behind the scenes and really showing what goes behind running a brand. right?
Mhm.
But also, again, keeping up with some of these trends. A lot I see, again, going back to these colors and stuff, or even what I'm going to be releasing is more like colors that have related to the fashion trends and everything like that. But I think right now it's important to add value and stay relevant that way. Again, seeing behind the scenes what's going on with some of these customers and really showing that like there is customers, so authentic reviews, people um, when people try on or when they buy from me, user generated content, so they post selfies with it,
Mhm.
right? So I think it's important to really just upkeep that value of the brand through websites, social media, emails, even all that kind of stuff. So
Mhm.
Now, a word from our title sponsor. Online shopping is always a daunting task, and even though you have spent hours researching and reading reviews, you never really know if what you bought will actually fit. Let us take the headache out of online shopping. Perfect is building a solution that helps people find perfect fitting clothing online, no matter your body shape and size. Our technology creates the most realistic representation of the shopper and the garment in the digital world, but we are just getting started. Our dream needs your contribution in order for it to come true. Our goal is to raise $1 million, so your donation will allow us to continue to innovate and hire incredible talent. Visit Perfit.Digital for more information and to donate. Thank you in advance. And now back to our regular programming.
How do you gather your user feedback in a way that it's easy for them to do it,
yeah.
enticing enough for them to actually take the time to do it, and
Mhm.
then actually come back and continue purchasing from you again and again and again?
You know what? I'm happy that the Shopify platform has third-party integration apps because a lot of times, you entice them with like, "Hey, review my thing now, get X amount off." And your review will be featured, which is the process. But what I tend to do too is follow up with customers. So it's in a way kind of like cold calling,
Mhm.
but when I see a purchase and stuff like that, I'll entice them and be like, "Hey, listen, letting you know, like after X amount of days." What I like about going back to this third party integration app, I'm able to put the settings where they'll reach out after X amount of days that this customer has purchased, so it doesn't annoy them once
Mhm.
they receive the package or straight off after purchasing. But it's really just, again, really being authentic when it comes to communicating with them. It doesn't seem like it's like an automated message. So again, adding value, but also being authentic, passing that message on to people. Like, so we'll entice you with this amount, but hey, thanks for your purchase. You know what I mean? And it's just adding that personal touch really
Mhm.
helps
So then
with
do
these
you
reviews.
write do you write those emails out every single time, or do you have like a template and then are able to then
I have a template. I have a template that's automated and everything, but a lot of times when I know the customer personally or it was a referral through a friend or a thing, I'll write something more personal. And
Mhm.
they seem to like that. You know, what I mean, the turnaround time when it comes to emails and stuff is actually quite fast.
Mhm.
So it's not just like a simple delete or whatever.
Yeah.
Like sometimes they do, but a lot of times they do respond and be like, "Oh yeah, not a problem. We'll leave that review for you." And like, great product, amazing stuff. I'm happy you reach out to me.
Mhm.
By the way, not only is it positive feedback, sometimes like, hey, shipping could have been faster.
Yeah.
Oh, hey, the package could have been in a more sturdier envelope, because I
Mhm.
saw this. Like, yeah, don't worry about it. So not only am I reaching out to them on an organic level, but also they're providing me that organic feedback as well, positive or negative. So
Yeah. Interesting. Very interesting. So when you first started out, what were the biggest hurdles that you had to overcome mentally and emotionally in order to actually solidify yourself as a fashion brand rather than just a person trying to sell clothing? Because there's a
you know,
huge
I
difference between that.
yeah, oh, 100%. I think it was J. Cole that said something like "fake it till you make it." Everyone says that actually, but one J. Cole song that always stuck to me was "fake it till you make it." So I'd always presented myself as like, whoa, I got an e-commerce store, I'm selling shirts, all that kind of stuff. But internally, I didn't know what the fuck I was doing. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? I'll even then, I don't even think YouTube tutorials were a thing. right? So there's only certain resources you can go to, like certain forums, certain chats and stuff like that. I just went with the flow, honestly. I knew though I wanted to really learn how ink was being printed on t-shirts. So I was lucky enough that there was a local screen printing workshop in my city.
Mhm.
So I took that and really understood that. But as far as running a business, I just ran with the flow, man. Like I think my biggest issue was trying not to spend when the money came in. And I was young then, sneakers, Jordans,
Yeah.
people are buying off of my brand, but I'm buying stuff from other brands. What's going on? You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
but I think it really kind of like when it comes down to me and trying new things, I always have there's always like a resource, like a plan. You know what I mean? Hey, you want to learn how to break down? Hey, there's these videos. Oh, I got this guy down at the local YMCA that can teach you. Whereas me, I didn't have anything
Mhm.
at all. And then what really kept me going, honestly, overcoming the emotional and mental stress, I just wanted to prove myself wrong as well as other people.
Mhm.
After selling these shirts for a few months or even a year or two, very beginning, people would ask, "Hey, you still selling shirts?" I'm like, "Yeah, of course." "You need a size?" He's like, "Oh, it works?" I never understood that question. Like, "Oh, it works." I think what they meant to say was, "Oh, you didn't fail yet? I want to see you fail. Come on, fail."
Uh-huh.
And then a few months later, a few years later, like their girlfriend would buy them the shirt.
Mhm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So again, it's just proving myself wrong, proving everyone wrong. And again, going back to, I want to go back to this and be like, I'm happy I still continue this. So
Yeah. Because 12 years later, you're still in business.
yeah.
You're making money, you're living a life, you're doing your thing. How do you attract what the customer? Like what is the actual ideal customer for for yourself?
I've trying to figure it out for a little while now, but every time I get new followers or the content that I've been putting out, I just make sure that it's visually appealing and going back to value,
Hmm.
right? Making sure I'm giving that value. So not only am I posting, let's say, a reel, a video, or a post, but I make sure that it means something to them. Like I'll connect with them. I remember chatting not too long ago with someone through my DMs. I think they had commented on a story I posted for like upcoming like sweaters and hoodies and stuff, and they told me like, "Yo, I love your stuff." I'm like, "Oh, thank you so much." I'm like, they didn't really give me a reason why. I should have asked. I should have asked, but I think it's just lately I've been more authentic with myself. I
Hmm.
know what to post. I know what people want to know who I am behind the screen. You know what I mean? So I would post again. I know you've seen this like throwback of like Fresh Prince scenes,
Hmm.
gifs of old movies and stuff. And people like to look at that stuff and be like, "Oh shit, this is cool. This is something I can relate to." I mean, the other day I posted a daylight savings meme of Hugh Jackman and Logan running. And it's just like, oh yeah, when you rely on your oven for the clock, but realize it's daylight savings time. I got a lot of response to that, a lot of shares to that. So I think it's really just authentically being myself, even when it comes to new followers, just really providing them again the value and who I am behind the lens. So that humor, that easygoing, that energy.
Hmm.
So
So how do you know that you're showing up authentically to your audience?
I that happens when I don't hesitate posting. You know what I mean? A
Uh-huh.
lot of times I have a bunch of content lined up for the week or for the month, and I'll be like, okay, post. More than half of the time, I'll be like, ugh, nah.
Uh-huh.
You know what I mean?
So
So
what's the thing that stops you? Because you've already got it planned out, and
yeah.
then now you're there. You're
I
at
I, I
you're
think
ready to say yes.
yeah, I think
What's
my
the thing that
fear
stops
is I think my fear is getting canceled. You know what I mean? I'll post something that'll connect people emotionally again, but I don't want to post something that'll be super sensitive and people just be like, unfollow, fuck
you?
this guy. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I don't want someone to run up to my condo and slap me in the face kind of thing. You know what I mean? Like
yeah,
it's like those things. I think one of them was for example, this whole conflict with Ukraine that's been going on with Russia, right, for a little
yeah,
while now. I was gonna post a GIF of Seinfeld where it's Kramer and Newman playing Risk, the board game, and
yeah.
then he's like, "What do you got there?" He's like, "Oh, I still got the Ukraine. The Ukraine's weak."
Yeah.
They don't have a defense like I do. And then the guy goes, Ukraine's not weak, smashed it.
Yeah.
I'm like, should I post that? I did. 45 seconds in, like, nah, fuck it. Take it
Yeah.
off. I don't know if anybody's gonna like really feel that. And I do have some followers are from Ukraine or stand with Ukraine,
Yeah.
like whatever and I'm just like, I can't do that. So, those are those kind of things that stops me from posting these kind of
Yeah.
things and stuff
Yeah.
like that. So
Being socially aware of the content that you're putting out in order for you to resonate with the masses is super important. So then
exactly.
when you are prepping for your social media content, what are some key indicators that allow you to say, yes, this is it, no, this is not, within the parameters of making sure that you're not canceled?
I always have to check what's in the news when it comes to posting, or like how sensitive people are. Sometimes I'll have the balls too, but then again, not so much. So I'll have content that's related to my brand, but also content that has to do with like world news or like politics. Sometimes politics, not all the time. But I'll mostly just be super careful, or I'll see what other brands have been posting through their stories, reels. I'll go through their website. I'll go as deep as their website blogs and be like, would they do that too? Like, nah, okay, don't do it. You know what I mean?
Which brands are you actively inspired by in order to get to that level?
Oh man, I can name a handful right now. Raised by Wolves from Ottawa.
Okay.
They're fucking great. Emile Leon Doré from New York. Ran by Teddy Santos. He's great too. He actually married a woman from the West Island, and here in Montreal. It's pretty kind of cool. Fun fact. Anyways, one last brand I looked up to. So I was in California when I discovered this brand, or prior to that, they were opening a store in 2016, 2017. They're called Stamped LA by Chris Stamp. He was actually featured on GQ as like top designer in America at one point. I forget, a couple of years back. But yeah, he had a cool shop. It was like surf related, California related. It was just simple like black and white shirts, but it had like really cool graphics on it. I actually still have a hat somewhere where it's like a black trucker hat, but it was filled with like studs and stuff.
Yeah.
It was featured on the Lil Wayne's music video. I forgot which one, but no, those are 3 brands I don't really want to get to that level and stuff. Like, so
Yeah.
hopefully.
What are the things standing in your way from getting there?
Not gonna lie, man, I'm going through a lot through my personal life. So one thing I found important in last couple months, last couple of years, since again, let's use COVID, is, man, family and friends really taking care of me. Like when COVID had started, as I mentioned earlier, I was really, I didn't want to continue it, right? I was looking at like how it impacts the environment, how I have X amount of inventory sometimes just laying around, and I just wanted to stop it. But I think everyone has their own demons to face, has their own personal issues. I think to the point where I'm really comfortable, not saying my own skin, but comfortable where my life is at, as well as like people are taking care of around me, and I don't have to worry so much. I think that's one thing I got to face, but also just like anxiety and all that kind of stuff. I've been dealing with anxiety since I was like 3-4 years old or something like that. I remember going to kindergarten and I just like threw up everywhere. I was like, what the hell's going on with me? You know what I mean?
Really?
So yeah. And I think that's really stopping me. I think right now I don't have the fear of expanding and growing. It's more like certain things keep me from doing the things I want to do, if that makes sense. Like I'll wake up some days and I'll just don't want to do anything. I don't want to touch a computer, cell phone. I don't want to look at my brand. So that's what is keeping me from that. You know what I mean? So I think it's like one of these things that people need to be more open about and share. So
what are some of the remedies that you're implementing in order to actually do the work that you need to do?
I like going for walks around my neighborhood, going to the gym. After I get my heart pumping and just like sweating, I'm just like, you know what? It ain't so bad. There's a few things to do. It ain't so bad today. You know what I mean? I'll
Yeah.
also like meditate throughout the day, just work on breathing, exercise, that kind of stuff. Cooking helps me like relax like crazy.
Yeah.
So, you know what I mean? I'll make a nice catchaway pepe and everything, you know, and or a nice pork belly, roasted pork belly, yeah, you know what I mean? So I'll do these kind of things just to relax me and just kind of like it still gets me remind myself of why I'm here and like really work on the brand and you know, get through the day and that kind of stuff.
Mhm. Very interesting. When you're going through these anxiety episodes, have you been able to pinpoint the the issue at hand? Or is it just, does it just come at you out of nowhere? What's
You
happening?
know, sometimes it'll come out of me out of nowhere. But the other half of it is I I'll think of different things that's happened to me or what I think is gonna happen, and that's when it starts. But I'm getting better at it in a sense that I'll have these days where it just comes at me and I'll be like, shut the fuck up, anxiety.
Mhm.
Don't fuck with me today. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm getting better at that, but some days they'll just come at me like crazy. Or again, what I for me one of my faults is that I tend to go back and see what I can change, you know, in the past and stuff like that, and that's when it will cause these kind of anxieties and stuff like that. But you know,
Mhm.
I'll try to move away from that. We got to move on. You know, time moves
Mhm.
forward, all that kind of stuff. So.
Yeah. Interesting. And the only reason why I'm asking you this is because there are going to be listeners, there's going to be this audience that needs to understand that they're not alone, that you
Mhm.
can have success within your business, within your brand, within your work, even though you are going through this. And anxiety is such a gigantic umbrella over everything that you do,
Yeah.
which is why I'm poking around to see what are the remedies that you currently have and that you're implementing, because at the end of the day, if you can, through your experience as a successful,
Mhm.
smart, intellectual businessman, can give to these incredible listeners, and you can give them these tools. Oh my goodness,
Yeah.
Ian, you know?
Well, one thing that really helped me a lot, and it took a lot of courage and took a lot of, you know, it just it was one of those things I had to do because growing up with anxiety in my culture and stuff, that you're looked at as almost like a black sheep, but also it's like, no,
Mhm.
suck it up, you'll be fine. But like,
Yeah.
I'm not fine. I'm fucking dying here. But one thing that really, I got to tap myself on the back for this is, I actually went to go see some therapy. You know what I mean?
Wow.
Someone to ask for help and be like, hey, I need to talk to someone about this. I remember at one point at my 9 to 5, this was really like kind of like an eye opener. I remember someone had shown me a picture of someone they were seeing. And then I was like, oh, hey, congrats on that, all that kind of stuff. Well, do you have to work? Yeah, don't worry about it. I got a few hours left. And I'm on the phones here. I'm like sitting down at the desk. I was glued to the desk for 2 hours straight. I could not move my neck left or right. I could
Mhm.
not get up. I was just focused on work. But then a coworker goes, she's like, are you okay? I'm like, I don't know. She's like, what's wrong? I was like, I think I need a good cry. She's like, really? I'm like, I can't move right now. She's like, are you serious? I'm like, I can't move. Can you take the phone from me? So it took me a couple minutes to really like force my body to move up and go to the bathroom, collect myself. But I think that was really an eye opener. So I went to go see help afterwards, and it felt good talking to someone,
Mhm.
as well as journaling and stuff. I'll write down stuff, you know, that's been going on throughout my day. I'll write down what went wrong,
Mhm.
but then I'll take a look at it and be like, not so bad.
Yeah.
One of them was like, oh, missed the UPS package. I'm like, so what? You know, I'm
Yeah.
still alive. It's fine. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? I'll also admit though, I was on meds for a bit. That was I was treated for it for anxiety and depression. I
Mhm.
mean, one thing I'll share too from a 9 to 5, I was on a huge sick leave for like 8 months. You know what I mean? Like it took a toll on me. I mean,
Mhm.
working for a huge company, Apple. There's actually a huge article on the employee that took his own life,
Yeah.
due to stress, not being treated well, all that kind of stuff. But if people are suffering out there, I can tell you right now, you ain't the only one.
Yeah.
Seek help ASAP. Try to change your routine. Go for walks. Walking helps a lot. One thing that helped me a lot, I can say for sure, was going on walks during the spring and summertime. Sometimes the best too, because it gets your heart beating. You listen to music. You're in your own head. But for some, I don't know what it is. I think it's like a chemical inside the brain that really helps things put into balance. If that makes sense. But
Mhm.
yeah.
No, you're not alone. I have dealt with that myself. Like especially these last 2.5 years, my life has gone up and down, just
Mhm.
tumultuous. I've had incredible wins and incredible losses.
Yeah.
And there have been days where I have not wanted to, and I didn't get out of bed. I just,
Mhm.
in trying to maneuver my way through that and understand that not only am I not the only one that's going through this, but in those states that all I have to do is start.
Yeah.
I don't have to think about the end. I don't have to think
Mm.
about the end result. I don't have to think about even the next 3 minutes.
Yeah.
Just get up.
That's it.
That's it.
That's it.
I was the only thing that got me moving. It's like, okay,
Mm.
just get up.
That's it.
And then I would get up and I'd be like, okay, now brush your teeth.
Yeah.
brush
That's
your
it.
teeth.
Yeah.
And it was just small little bite-sized pieces of my day
Mhm.
that I was able to maneuver my way through in order to actually get either something accomplished or at least leave my bed long enough that I felt almost restored to
Yeah.
do something.
I
Because
feel you.
I've been there. I 100% have been there where I have been crippled by both either depression or anxiety, and it always came up to came down to this.
Mhm.
It came down to, for me, it was, what if I'm not doing enough? So the perspective of others,
Sure.
and then secondly, it was, oh man, vulnerability. Hey.
Yo, vulnerability.
And then the other thing that it came down to for me was, if I fail, I will lose everything.
Mhm.
And the only reason that I have been able to maneuver my way through this is by understanding that the only way that I will fail is if I stop.
Yeah.
And for me, that was a game changer.
For sure. When you
un,
realize that.
when I realized that the
Yeah.
only way that I will actually fail is if I stop. It's the
Mhm.
only way that you can guarantee a true definitive end is by stopping. Where
Yeah.
if you don't, you still have the ability to be in the what if. What if it works?
Yeah.
What if I become the man that I need to become through this? Even though
Mhm.
it may not actually end up becoming the thing that I imagine it to be, it can at least make me the man that that can go through this and get to the other side.
For
Right?
sure. For sure.
And now a word from our sponsors.
The most impactful leaders at some point doubt their own potential. You're no different. You're meant for greatness. So what do these thought leaders do differently? Mentorship. We all need help from someone who has gone before us and is able to believe in us when we don't, who refuse to have us play small. They challenge our excuses and inspire us to choose courage over cowardice, faith over fear, and trust over doubt. Decide on you. Decide on mentorship. Decide on impact leadership. Visit www.alphandomegastrategies.com.
Please make sure to check out alphaomegastrategies.com for all things growth and leadership. And at checkout, enter Perfit10. That is PERFIT 10 for an extra 10% off.
And I think, what was it? I think it was somebody asked the Dalai Lama, how do you deal with anxiety? And he said, usually anxiety comes with two things from the outside world. From the outside world. So he gave an example. From thinking about what others will think of you. And then the inside world, thinking about what you think of others while you're thinking of you. Oh, okay. So if you understand that, you can start taking yourself out of the perception of others, and you can start taking an understanding and ownership of what you actually have in control. You have the only thing you have control of is the way you are able to internalize your own thought process in order for us to emotionally stabilize. Right? Like that is literally the only thing that we have control over. Everything else doesn't, we can't control. I can't control how you perceive me. I can't control how my mom perceives me. I can't control anything else. I can't control the goodness of tomorrow. I can't control the goodness of yesterday. I can't control the goodness of today. But I can control the way that I react to the situation that I'm in right now. I can either make my hell manageable or make my hell worse. That's it.
It's a life hack, man. Like, realizing that you have that power to do that with a simple thought, a little action, whatever. It took a while. I was stripped to the core, man. I was like a shell. At one point I had to move back into my parents during COVID, and I was like, this fucking sucks dick, man. What the fuck am I doing? And then I would just go out for drives endlessly for hours. I'm like, what the hell is going on? And then I think one day it had popped to me. I'm like, yo, you're feeling this way because you're concerned about this and that. And I'm like, the only thing you can change is you. Start with the little things will have a big impact. You know what I mean? So, yeah, here I am now. Move back out.
Yeah, exactly. But that's the testament of the human that you are, Ian. Right? That's the resilience that you have built within yourself because of what you have gone through, and that is beautiful.
Yeah, and coming back to the brand, like X amount of time, like 12 years.
Yeah,
12 years. 12 years. Like I still can't believe it. You know what I mean? When people tell me this, like, yo, you've been doing this for a while. I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about? Like it's 2023. I'm like, oh shit.
Yeah.
Started in 2011. So I mean, like again, coming back to the brand, it's like an extension to myself, vice versa, right? So yeah.
That's absolutely amazing. So now that you're here, how do you know that you are on the right track for your life with this brand? Because as you said, it's an extension of yourself. So how do you know that you're actually on the right path?
I won't say it's hard to say, but I always come back to this feeling inside myself where I always tell myself, hey, you didn't kill the sales. This week was okay with whatever and this and that. But I've gone through worse prior, like years before that. And I was like, no, I'm going to pull through. I'm going to be okay. I think I'm on the right track because I'm constantly learning. I'm constantly making mistakes. One thing about me, as we said earlier, one thing that can stop me is not trying, stopping completely. So one thing though I can say is I'm on the right track is just the outpour of love and positivity that I'm getting every time I see people with my clothes. I think I'm on the right track with that. Again, connecting to people emotionally. Going back to that shirt I had sold, MTL Set of Mine, I've never asked this of anyone ever. Me just sell them, go on your way, that's it. I don't know if they took that feature off of Instagram, geotagging. But I have a screenshot of my clothing being worn worldwide. So not only Canada, but US, Asia, Europe,
Uh-huh.
Africa,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Hopefully space one day. But I mean, it's something that I've never asked of anyone, like, hey, make sure you post this picture when you're
Yeah.
whatever, whatever. Next thing I know, like a friend of mine was in Thailand. He's like, dude, look what I just posted. And it's him in Thailand in the middle of like traffic, you know, all those like scooters and buggies and all these people and all these like, you know, horses and
Mhm.
stuff. I'm like, dude, you're in the fucking middle of Thailand wearing my shirt. He's like, yeah, don't know.
That's amazing.
I don't know what to say about that. To me, it's like one of those things that keeps me going because that's just the first of many accomplishments, right?
Mhm.
And these are unexpected accomplishments and milestones for me. What I'm about to announce, hopefully, I know we discussed this before we got on air and stuff. It's gonna be like life changing and everything. But
Yeah.
like again, as life doesn't go as you expect, and that's okay because other opportunities will, you know, show up at your front door and stuff. So
Mhm.
that's what keeps me going. You know, going back to what if I'm on the right track or not. I always have that internal feeling of like, no, yo, you've gone through this again before
Mhm.
and worse. You'll be fine.
Yeah.
It's gonna be okay. You know what I mean? So
No, I do. I don't know if you're a spiritual person or not, but for me, the way that I know that I'm on the right track and what it sounds like that your understanding is that as I move and I listen to my consciousness or the
mm,
divine walk talking through me, either a door opens to make it easier
yeah,
or a door closes to redirect me. And
yeah,
then
yeah.
and then it tells me it's like, okay, well, for like this right now, doing these podcasts have been like the hardest things for me to do in my life. I don't like, I'm good at interacting with people,
Yeah, speaking and everything. Yeah.
but they are exhausting to me. So I have always felt two things. I've always felt inadequate, and I have
Mm,
always felt um as if I'm not as if I'm not as if I'm not smart enough to actually have anything to talk about.
okay, I see what you mean.
So they're intertwined, but they're two different feelings.
Yeah.
And starting this, and I've had this thought of I need to figure out a way to talk to people and tell a story and tell their story
Hmm.
for about 4 years. And I never
Nice.
have. And I've
So
never
it's been in
have.
the yeah.
It's been
Okay.
in the works. It's been, I've been trying to figure out how do I do this? How do I do this? How do I do this? And then finally, everything, like I said, in the last 2.5 years, everything that I've tried, and I'm good at business, and I was great at business. I started a construction company with $300, and I made it to just under $1 million a year over year,
Woo!
and we
Yeah.
were doing good. COVID came. I'm ready to switch off to another business. I'm like, good, I'm
Yeah.
fine. Let's do this. My tech company was good. It's still good, but it's not where I want it to be.
Yeah.
And we're pre money right now. So it's
Mhm.
trying to raise funds and trying to do all this sort of stuff. And it's just like, oh my goodness. And even through all this, there's this voice saying, start this,
Yeah. Wow.
start this. So I did. And the doors have just been opening. And like I said earlier, everything was closing. I tried to flip a house, failed miserably, lost an extraordinary amount of money. I
Okay.
I um I tried doing sales for another company. It put me into a deep depression. I tried what else did I try? I tried creating um I tried pushing my tech company to grow faster than what the divine has set forth for my
Yeah.
life. So that I just kept hitting a brick wall after brick wall after
Sure.
brick wall. I'm here, and and the people like you that I've been able to connect with
Mm.
have been extraordinary. The things that I have learned have been
Yeah.
immense. The
Yeah.
things that the doors that have been opened and the people that I'm connecting with, it's crazy. It's unfathomable.
Mhm.
But that's how for me, the divine is saying, okay, I've got you. As much as this sucks, as much as this journey has been the worst for you, I've got you. And from what you were saying and from what I was hearing, we have had very similar paths. There's been a
Yeah.
parallel to
You
what
know,
we've been
and
going through.
I'm trying to be more open. I'm getting at that point now where I'm just like, yo, these things happen for a reason, and not just because, action reaction, but more like, yo, if again, I've gone through this for like many years where it's like one opportunity, closes, another one will just come knocking at your door.
Mhm.
And I got to look at that in a more spiritual way, in a sense, you know what I mean? Because I keep looking at it like, all right, chill, we're good. I'm even Steven. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah,
So yeah, no, definitely I feel you on that one for sure.
yeah.
Yeah.
If I can encourage you with something, my man,
Yeah.
is I would start um delving in and maneuvering your way through the potential of the spiritual,
Yeah, eh?
whatever that may be for you. Because
Okay.
one of the things that has really helped me as I'm going through my own personal hell has been, whether it be true or not, leaning on something that is bigger than me.
Yeah. Okay.
Again, I don't know. I don't
Sure.
know what comes after death. I don't know what happened before I was born. I don't know what the universe has. But what
Hmm.
I do know is that when I'm able to lean and have a relationship communion with something that is bigger than me, even if that is my own consciousness, I'm able to walk through it better
Yeah. Instead of looking at it as
instead of
like, yeah, uh,
literally, as you know, dying in life.
yeah, that kind of thing. No, for sure. I'm slowly navigating through that path. I'm just like, there's a reason why I'm feeling this
Mhm.
internal feeling sometimes of like, yo, you're gonna be fine. It's just one of these things that you need to go through, and you've gone through one of the worst things, like, well, like dealing with loss and
Yeah.
anxiety and all that kind of stuff like that. So it's like you're yeah, things are going a different way than you
Mhm.
expected, but that's how it is sometimes. You know what I mean? You
It
just got to
is.
keep your head up.
Yeah. A really good book that helped me was Ego is the Enemy by Ryan Holiday. And
I think I've heard about that one. I think that's on my
it's,
on my wish
it's
list. I'm being
really, really good.
I'm writing that down to sort of this
And then
morning.
the other one is Eckhart Tolle's Power of Now.
Tower of Now,
Power of Now.
Power of Now. Got
Yeah,
it.
those
Oof.
two were big influences in my life that it really got me going. And actually, Oprah did a master class with Eckhart Tolle, and they went chapter by chapter. So
Oh,
you can
nice.
find it on the Oprah podcast, and it
Okay.
was really, really powerful
Okay. I'll
because
check it
he's
out for
teaching
sure.
you his thought process in order to walk you through it. So
Okay.
you're not only just reading it, but you get the teacher, and that was really cool.
Nice. Nice. Okay. All right. Okay.
Yeah, man.
I'll check those
Back
out.
to life lessons.
Yeah.
What were the key lessons in creating partnerships within the the made to order, as well as within your brand, that has allowed you to grow? And how has that affected you personally, and how has that given you more and more courage?
I think the key is build and maintain these relationships. Prior to my print on demand business, I was having constant communication with my suppliers, my printers, my embroiderers. It was cool seeing them at their shop in person. And then, when I changed my business model, there was like, I won't say zero communication, but more like communication when it came down to the warehouse that deals with it. But with that, I learned new skills. You know what I mean? So being more stern and direct when it comes down to wanting a certain price for a certain product. or making sure that these deliveries go on time. When they promise me, hey, it's going to be delivered to X date. So it has its wins and losses. I still haven't talked to my old suppliers, and unfortunately, but when it comes down to growing the business, I feel like just having constant communication, really learning from them and them learning from me of how certain wins are and certain how losses are and how we're going to deal with it. You know, um, Even with relationships, period, not just business, it's really just maintaining that constant communication and having value. Also, I keep talking about value and stuff like that, but it's really like a two-way street. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
So
So can you define value to me?
yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's providing knowledge about your business or who you are as a person and not just a businessman, right?
Mhm.
Like a lot of people are talking about value and they think it's like the value of a dollar or something like that. But value, I'm talking more, it's like knowledge, um, connecting to people emotionally or just connecting people on the most human level of
Mhm.
how does XYZ work? You know what I mean?
Mhm.
I feel like that's one of the most important things, even when it comes down to social media. I would make sure that some of this content is valuable in terms of, educating people and showing them who I am. And it's getting so much traction,
Mhm.
impressions, and shares. So that's a key thing.
That's amazing. One of the things that my mom taught me while I was growing my construction company was your values for your company are always based on three things:
Yeah.
your where you put your money,
Mm,
where you put your time, and where you put your energy. You can always be sure that if you put your money, time, and energy in that thing, that's a value for you. I was like, oh wow.
oh
Because
man. That's hitting me too. Tell your mom. Woo!
right? That's huge.
Yeah.
That's massive. Right. So
Wow.
wherever you put your time, your money, and your energy in, that's an actual true value. And I think,
Wow.
as a
Yeah.
business person, especially for us, if we aren't able to consistently show up with what we perceive as as valuable or value to
Mhm.
our clients, it's because we're missing the fact that we
One of
haven't put
those.
money or
Yeah.
energy or time into
Or
those
time.
things.
Yeah,
Mhm.
you got to be consistent. That's one key thing is consistency too.
Mhm.
Like you got to show up every day, even if it's behind a screen. You know what I mean?
Big
Like,
time.
yeah, even again, if I don't post anything, I'll interact with other accounts or followers and stuff like that. Making sure I still get that like a piece of communication, even if it's just a simple like. So yeah,
Yeah. No, I get
I
it.
gotta, I gotta remember that, man. Money, time, energy. I'm gonna
Yeah.
send your mom flowers on Mother's Day as well as my mom. But yes.
Okay, so one last question. And I think that this is an important one, especially because um, as a business and as a business owner, you want to be able to grow. So
Mm.
where would you like to see your business in the next 3 to 5 years? And what will be the key indicators of success to you?
I want to see distribution coast to coast and
Mhm.
then worldwide. Like if I make it into some Japanese store in some random city or
Mhm.
a village, I know I know I know for me that's gonna be huge. I talked about earlier how people wear my clothes and they wear it when they're on vacation or travel and stuff like that.
Mhm.
I really want to see distribution coast to coast or even just worldwide
Mhm.
reach. So North America, Europe, Asia, wherever. I think for me, I really want to see myself expand and not just be online only. You know what I mean? Like
Mhm.
you could find me in stores at these boutiques and stuff like that. But for me, a key indicator of my success not only is going to be that growth, but I want to be able to live off my brand. You know what I mean? Like I
Mhm.
want to be growing to the point it's like I have X amount of employees and I'm able to provide them with like a RRSP plan, some stock
Mhm.
options or
Yeah.
benefits and stuff like that. You know what I mean? That kind of stuff. I always it really hit me hard. I was looking at that dude, that British kid who started Gymshark.
Yeah.
you know. And then I think it was like a few years ago when they revealed his like HQ. Oh, that
Yeah.
Gymshark logo on the side, everything just like metal siding.
Yeah.
Man, you know what I mean? Like that would be cool. But really, to again, live off my brand. I see these guys in California too. The Hundreds brand, another one's Diamond Supply Company. Nick Diamonds was a
Yeah. Yeah.
skater out of all people. He used to sell like the trucks and the wheels of the skateboards. Then he got into clothing. And I think from what I read a few years ago, he made like 100 million in 1 year or something like that. Just
Yeah.
like off of clothes. I'm like, man, that's cool as hell. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like people with, I would say, more limited resources than me and grew up in worse conditions can make it. Why can't I? You know,
That's
that's
exactly
it.
it, man.
That's
That's
it. That's
exactly it. Why
it.
can't I? And is an incredible motivator.
Yeah.
Why
Yeah.
can't I? That's absolutely amazing. Well, I think that's a great way to end today's podcast. Thank you so much, Ian, for
Thank you,
being
G.
here, for showing up, and for being absolutely vulnerable and courageous enough to do so. So thank you, man. I absolutely appreciate it and absolutely loved it. And I think our audience is gonna do the same thing. They're gonna love learning about you, learning your story, and be able to apply the gold nuggets that you gave them to their lives.
Absolutely. You know, thank you for having me. Hope everyone has a good week. It is Monday. Let's let's destroy it.
Yeah, I agree. All right, man. Well, you have a good one.
You too. Take care.
Bye-bye.